A rusting control panel with loose wires dangling out from the hole where an indicator light used to be. You grab the handle and pull the lever up. As soon as the metal connects against the contact pins, you hear a loud clunk. Then, the water lock starts moving.
Okay, if we ever need to get to the coast, then this is the way. But please, contain your wanderlust for now. I don't want us to get sidetracked, not with everything that's going on.
Focus on one thing, achieve it, then the next, he thinks. That's the task chain.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Not an umbrella, I hope. I don't need one myself, you see. Very rugged. Good choice. Now, I suspect you had questions. Nothing like talking to pass a rainy day. Am I right? You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare? What? Oh, I am afraid you have misread the situation, Detective. This is not some feudal conflict. It is a negotiation.
And if it were a conflict, the RCM would not pick sides. My colleague's unusual approach to police work does not represent the organization at this time.
Well, I can't stop you, can I? Just understand that I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt worm myself. However, if you felt like passing some information, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things.
Yes, your disgusting necktie agrees completely. Let's gossip.
Did you now? What sort of borscht is he making? The strike brew. That's a classic. And by turn up the heat, I presume you mean put more alcohol in it? Beyond curious. I will choose to interpret that as you turning the alcohol in the strike brew down, for the sake of our professional relationship. And because I don't like the idea of them any more drunk than they already are. What else? Of course, Detective. Should something come up later, down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead. A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat. Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Ah, yes. There's something very satisfying about discussing the fundamental facts of reality. The girl in the old lady rags looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
And what would that be?
She lets out an unrestrained laugh, the crow's feet stretching onto her cheeks.
My reality-impaired colleague is not so far off. Many of the RCM's fashions, even weapon preferences, borrow heavily from classic Vespertine cop shows. My precinct alone has 3 officers who go by the name Ace. But please, do continue this reality exploration. I was just remarking.
Yes, let's. Glad to have been of assistance.
Yes? What do you want to know? No, it's not a particularly mysterious case. The deceased is a security guard for a corporation involved in a labor dispute. It doesn't take a DeLorean polymath to put the pieces together. I just don't see the case getting more mysterious than that. I'm relieved that you agree.
He is glad and surprised to see an officer who can appreciate the less than spectacular.
Do you know the feeling when you've begun filling in a crossword, but some of your answers don't quite seem to fit? That's the feeling I have right now, for some reason. It will turn into quite the puzzle yet, I'm afraid. Good. What about me? Good. Let's change the subject.
Right to work! Right to work! Shame on you! Things are busy enough. You're going to waste less of my time?
The hulking man oozes stark skepticism. banged-up motor carriage lies half-submerged in the icy water, slowly sinking into the Insulindian Ocean. Only the cabin top, rear wheels, and the engine remain visible. It must be cold and lonely down there, in the icy water. The seawater has already started to corrode the metalworks.
My guess is it started its journey from the plaza, where it backed through the fence. I agree. We should definitely investigate.
You get a sudden, sinking feeling. Stomach acid comes up as you look at the motor carriage in the deep, dark, cold water.
Let's wait for the low tide and see what's inside.
Great idea. Then we can get the things inside. The joyrider must have left something good inside. Guns, papers, maybe a cool jacket. A joyrider jacket. A joyrider jacket. You feel a strange connection to this joyrider. Maybe he's from some kind of joyriders district and likes blue and white racing livery, like a cop would.
I don't know. An hour or two, tops? The ice hasn't closed around the vehicle yet. My guess is it's been here since last Saturday or Sunday.
The estimate is correct. The incident probably occurred on Sunday evening. The logo is too deep in the murky water. You can't make it out, but you do see a monkfish float by. The motor carriage is properly stuck in the ice. Getting it out would require a team of specialists. A single day in the salty seawater would ruin most vehicles, but this one looks worn even in places the salt water hasn't touched it. As you sit down in the old, rusty playground, the world around you becomes very silent. Nothing but the sound of seagulls high above in the sky, echoing like distant laughter. Ice cracks around the blue motor carriage in the sea. The tune on your lips forms a strange yet undeniably beautiful contrast with the surrounding bleakness. The lieutenant gives you a quick glance, then, still looking straight ahead, he joins you with a higher pitched and slightly more melodic trill. Two birds on a wire, whistling by the seaside, looking at the water and a sunken car. The clouds pass in the sky, and the shadow of the swing moves like the hour hand on a timepiece. 30 minutes have passed. Looks like this might take a while. Time to present a good topic for discussion.
I believe it's following a pattern set millions of years ago by cosmic forces. But I suppose it could move quicker, yes?
Clouds on the horizon grow darker, and the shadow of the swing set keeps climbing. You hear the distant rumble of the city. 30 minutes pass.
The world turns as fast as it wants.
Your voice echoes on the water, strange and out of place in the environment. 30 more minutes pass.
Detective, I've been able to make out the mark ever since we arrived. I find it odd that you haven't. It's a Coupris, Model 40.
Yes. Why haven't you?
It is a simple and rugged machine, favored by working men, government offices, firefighters, animal control people, you know, those kinds of people. Yes, 41. What do you think it stands for?
It's as if he knows what it stands for, but wants you to say it. It's pedagogical. Does he know something about the driver of this vehicle?
But it could also be the number of a police precinct. Precinct 41, your precinct.
A massive pit opens up in your stomach, and the most terrible feeling comes over you. No. Just nope. Say no to this, Harry.
Yes, your car is in the sea. Face it, so we can start dealing with this. I'm afraid so, yes. It looks like you drove your police motor carriage into the sea, after you jumped across the canal. You can still whistle. Besides, the night is always darkest before the dawn. People are more valuable than machines. Training a police officer is even more costly. That is very unlikely. All the electrics are toast. That goes for the electromagnetic steering and brake systems as well. You'd be lucky to find one undamaged component in there. In a few months, there will be nothing but rust left of this vehicle. It'll be cheaper to buy a new one. Well, not cheaper. This motor carriage costs 40,000 real. But in the long run, it still makes more sense to buy a new machine than try to refurbish this. Let's face it, this is a substantial loss to your district's budget. I mean, my station only has 4 other vehicles in addition to my kinema.
This was 20% of the station's vehicular budget. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and doesn't say anything.
Detective, we don't. A rescue operation really isn't viable at this point. I'm afraid it will have to be there like that for many years. Look at it. Parts of it might be salvageable, but overall, this machine is a write-off. Yes, let's go take a look.
Police badge on which you see the photo of a man. Some seaweed is stuck to the back.
At least something good came out of all this.
Encased between 2 durable plastic sheets is a bluish card with lines of information and a watermark in the shape of the street grid of Revachol West. You see a photo, a name, a rank, a document number, the date of issue, and, in the lower right corner, your precinct.
Yes, it's the designation of your precinct. 41, like mine says 57. The 57th is mostly industrial harbor, a lot of asphalt. The 41st is... It's a tough station to work in. You have all of Jamrock to cover. That district should have 3 precincts, but money is what it is.
It's no wonder you are like you are, he thinks. But then again...
It's a legendary district, and a hell of a station too. It must be an honor and a curse to work with people like Price, McCoy, Berdiaeva.
Roberts, Feuerbach, Dimitri. Suddenly, names from your decomptage flash in your forebrain. And you? Is it an honor to work with you? Don't ask him, ask yourself. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information on it, and a shining watermark.
That's just the serial number. Revachol, Jamrock, Precinct 41, with some numbers thrown in there for good measure.
The numbers are not there for good measure. They have an administrative purpose, one that's unfortunately been erased from your memory.
Lieutenant W. Freighter. The lieutenant is a rank above sergeant and below captain. It's the highest rank in the RCM that still does field work. I am a lieutenant. The title of Freighter is added to your rank when you decline a promotion to a higher rank. In your case, captain. You have declined twice, thus you're double Freighter. There are many reasons one would do this. The rank above you in your precinct's decomptage might be taken, or sometimes promoted officers do not want to replace their superiors out of respect. And sometimes they just prefer the type of police work available to their current rank, in your case, lieutenant.
Heavy-duty case-solving machine.
Decomptage is the hierarchical system employed by the Revachol citizens' militia. It means counting down to 2s.
The countdown is modeled after the dual leadership system employed by the left during the revolution, which in turn was developed by last-century experimental psychologists in the University of Königstein.
The lowest rank is junior officer, usually teenagers. Then there are the patrol officers, then sergeants, lieutenants, and then a captain. That's basically it, except for a few kings. Kings like satellite officers and the additional freighter rank I already explained.
The long and short of it is, you're his superior.
You are given the title of satellite officer if your partner is quickly promoted through the ranks and you rise with him. You don't seem to be a satellite. No, I've been putting up with you because despite an unconventional approach, you are doing good police work. It matters more than driving your motor carriage into the sea. And now we've even found your badge.
He trusts you, for now. Try not to spoil it.
Yes, apparently you've had a rather successful career in the past, and this leads me to believe maybe your current situation is only temporary. Good.
Such a small yet precious thing. Expensive paper caught between thick plastic, like a fly in amber. It reads...
Harrier. That's long for Harry. So you are Harry. Evrard was half right. Probably not a lot of people know your full name. Whoever told him you're Harry Dubois didn't. It's a wartime name. Revolutionary. The kind mothers give their sons during troubled times, like Undying or Boxer or Ironhide.
A name like armor.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, Harrier Dubois.
He's not going to call you Harrier. He'll keep calling you officer when he's angry with you, and detective when he's not. The badge in your hands shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information. The man keeps winking at you with his green-gray eyes. The photo is old, no doubt about that. But the badge is new. You used an old photo for a new badge. Good choice. A newer photo would look different. 8, maybe 10 years. The guy in the picture is rather good looking. He's got a nice haircut and is distinctly lacking in massive sideburns. What do you think? His face is already contorted by the expression, although it looks less grotesque on him than it does on you now. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it.
4 months ago. I'm guessing that's when you were promoted to the rank of Lieutenant W. Freighter. A new badge usually comes with a new rank. You seem to have been doing well then.
You're pretty sure you weren't doing well, but better? Probably yes.
I remember that time! That was a good time. We had a good work-drink balance going. What happened, man? Pump it up!
These are some wonderfully regular pants. Not too tight, not too loose, moderate in every sense. You'll blend right in at some pleasant dinner party. I know you do. These Inter-Isolari pants are like wearing a perfect compromise in your nether regions. No one will call the moral intern on you like this, that's for sure. You're a little more moralist now, buddy. A little more normal, even if you didn't want to be. You're not sure about the melody, but it might be South Samaran, possibly Sigayan, also known as the apricot sujunti.
Welcome to the fishing village. Please lean in closer. I have cataracts. Oh, welcome, police officer. We don't cause any trouble around here. And we don't want any trouble either.
We are not here to cause any trouble, madame.
Oh, of course. Last time we saw you around here was 12 years ago. You also came to take care of trouble then. Wish you did. But still, in Martinez, you're considered an ill omen. Oh, the usual. Dark tidings. Black hound. No, not you personally. I meant the RCM. Some of the men got into a fight. One of them killed another, locked himself in that woodshed over there. He was brooding, needed some help opening the door. You got it open for him and took him to think about what he'd done in a more secluded place, somewhere more quiet.
She says it as if he was on some kind of spiritual retreat.
Maybe they are afraid. Because you're an ill omen, but you're still welcome here, as long as men with guns aren't chasing you. And maybe even then, because that's the kind of fishing village we've built. I'm sorry there's not a lot of room to park the motor carriage, and not a lot of houses, or a lot of people. My kids are long gone, searching for treasure. So are others. Ah, look at me ramble on. What brings you to us? Just us. It's barely a village anymore. We almost don't exist. This is pretty much a non-place. A gap, a blank spot on the map, just a cluster of nameless shacks on a nameless street.
The place is so pornographically poor, it's not even funny.
The lack of wealth is the one thing we've got in abundance.
Riddles. Fits with the general ambiance here.
Aye. Sometimes it's as though I'm also gotten lost inside this nameless nothing. As you please. Well, there's Lillian and her kids. A few new folks live in the house to the east, but they're away right now. And then there's the drunks. Not a pretty sight, but there's little we can do about it. Home is home, even for them. What are you interested in then? Here? For you? No, officer. The only money we have here is some coins the drunks tried hiding from their women and then forgot about.
She nods, rinsing another piece of cloth.
Not much. There's the abandoned church, the DeLorean Church of Humanity. It's been there since before my time, even. Some things just don't fly, officer. Look around. Who'd go to church here? They built it 300 years ago. Must have been nicer then.
So, they don't hold services there anymore? The Ecclesiastes?
No, we've tried, but things just keep happening. Crime, accidents, other things. The place never stays open. It's a pity. It used to be such a nice church.
She's not telling you all she knows. Keep her talking.
Well, there's that music. Music from across the sea. It started a few days ago and now it's blasting even through the night. And now, suspicious-looking people are sneaking around the church. I don't like that.
Interesting. You could look into this ruckus if you have the time.
Before you get to the church, there's some ruins, an apartment complex, or some kind of electrical plant. Run-down bunch of houses, empty. Of note, the old fish market up on the boardwalk, but it's closed. What? You're one of those real estate people with big plans? If you want a development opportunity, you can check out the abandoned building over at Land's End. Used to be a supply depot, we think, sending goods and ammo across the bay. It's jammed shut though. We tried to get in, see if there was anything to sell or scavenge, but it's impossible. And now you know everything there is to know about this coast. Me? No one. Just an old washerwoman. Mother called me Isabel, if that's what you're asking. And my married name is Sadie. Now it's your turn, Mr. Quite a handle you got there. So many titles. One of them double. Stay? Most people here are trying to leave. That said, if lodgings is what you're looking for, I've got a free room in the shack. I won't charge you for it. Take it as a gesture of goodwill from the village to the RCM. Oh, don't. It's your choice. No skin off my teeth. My kids grew up and left like they do. The house is long empty now. I live in the small side attachment. It's easier and cheaper to keep warm. Don't make an old woman regret opening her house to the police.
Well, if you are not in the hostel in the morning, I'll know where to find you. Here, in a shack.
He's a little relieved you're no longer in that room. The door has seen better days. The layer of paint has started to peel off due to the salt and wind from the sea. Even the lock looks slightly rusted.
I'll wait outside to give you some time and privacy to check out your new living arrangements. But just so you know, after we are done with the day, I'll still be staying in the whirling in rags for the night. We'll meet in front of the shack in the morning.
The key turns with a satisfying click. You can enter the shack now. On the table, you see a bowl of water, a rough soap, and next to it, a small hand mirror. A straight razor soaks inside the wash basin. The water reflects back a vague image of your face. Nose bulbous and red, hair unkempt, wrinkles lining the eyes and forehead. The stash is gigantic. Your hand trembles as you scratch your cheek. Oh no, that's not how a grown man shaves. Stop, for crying out loud. You're gonna cut your own throat. The razor lands with a clang. A red trickle begins to spread in the water. An old mirror hangs on the wall. You see the reflection of your face in it, adorned with the expression.
Hey, tequila! Good to see you. How's business? How's the whole reality situation treating you? So what's happening? Yeah, Tequila Sunset. How are the, high-concept, reality-based adventures proceeding?
He says it like it's obviously your name. Like you call someone Billy Brunel or leader of the 4th Street Gang.
Things aren't going super well for Idiot Doom Spiral either. Haven't found those keys yet, haven't won that great piece of ass back. No word from my business buddies.
This guy's your buddy. You feel it immediately. You belong to an organization, a fraternity of drunks. Idiot Doom Spiral, huh? This is bound to be a good, high-concept conversation. At last.
It's you. You're Tequila Sunset. We've met before. Don't you remember?
No, you sure don't.
Aha. Do you want to know how Tequila Sunset came to be? Suit yourself, Mr. Sunset. We are saving the world.
Please! Please don't go! Don't go!
Okay, we're drinking. We're drinking alcohol. That's what we're doing. I tried to save the world once, a long time ago, with enterprise, creativity, and willpower. But that didn't work out. So now, it's a pirate's life for me. Let me take a sip to moisten up my chords. Tequila Sunset rolled into Martinez last Friday. And by Tequila Sunset, I mean you. The man, the myth. Hey, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. This is your story. Stop interrupting. You got here on Friday to solve a case, hoping to be the early bird who gets the worm. And by the worm, I mean the buzz. Because as far as I know, all you did was get piss drunk. Word on the street is you went around the local hostel telling people that you're a police officer, and that it would be really fucked up if you shot yourself in the head right in front of them. That's pretty high concept, if you ask me.
It is. The lieutenant's brow is furrowed. He's listening as casually as he can.
Hey, man, I'm not judging. This life's a valley of woes. Some of the highest concept people in history have killed themselves. And been drunks. Either way, it was a late Saturday night when we, the Union of Moribund Alcoholics, got our drink on. Nothing remarkable about this. We get our drink on 24/7. Makes everything warm and glowy. I trust you know the feeling. One moment we hear the sound of a motor carriage revving up somewhere on the plaza, followed by a series of dings and bangs. Naturally, loud noises pique the interest of anybody owning a pair of ears. That's just the reality we're in.
You can't get off now. You have to stay.
I think that we should let him continue with the story.
That's right. I let you finish all of your stories that night. Anyway, there was a brief silence. A gasp of silence, if you will. Followed by a real commotion. We heard the carriage careening towards the coast at top speed. Sounded like someone jumped the canal. We grabbed our brewskis and rushed to the jetty. Never underestimate the speed of an alcoholic. What we saw was a sight to behold. A beat-up police carriage containing you. Right there on the beach. You revved the engine and screamed at the top of your lungs. "The time hath come!" So, naturally, being the curious cat I am, I asked what time hath come. To which you replied, "The time hath come for tequila sunset, the end of all things!" Your reality contracted. You jammed the pedal, plowed right off the jetty, and through the ice. We ran towards the ice, whilst you crawled your way out, miraculously unhurt, covered in seaweed and shit, like some kind of sea monster. When we finally got there, you were sitting on the beach crying. You said that your badge and uniform were in the car. It was too late to get in there, though. The carriage had sunk too deep. Recognizing a brother in need, we offered our condolences and invited you to party with us, which you naturally agreed to. We asked about the whole tequila sunset thing, and you told us it was your name now and insisted that we all call you that from then on. No, that's just what your mother called you. Your real name is Tequila Sunset. Just embrace it, brother. Hours. It was an all-night drink-a-thon. Then, at some point, I think it was Sunday morning, you got belligerent and wanted to talk about Revacholian women. How they're beautiful and also whores and so on. How one of them fucked you real bad. After a short while, you crossed the event horizon, looked sullen, got up, and left without saying anything.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Yeah, I bet Tequila's a fucking legend around the precinct. You must be proud to work with him.
If you only knew.
You told us that they were a bunch of fucking losers whose main interest was cramping your style.
It's more like you were cramping theirs.
No specifics, though. It was more about you that night. You were the star of the show. Yeah, you said that it was okay that you crashed your carriage because the spectral hand of the market was guiding you. This was before you started talking about how the Pinkies were always trying to fuck you. You said being a cop was real boring and that there was no reason to talk about it. You also kept pausing to knock the heel of your hand against your temple, saying, "Boring, boring, boring." Yeah, you said it was no biggie and that you'd solve it in no time. And that you didn't need anyone to do it. You're doing it solo now.
A lot of cops go solo and hermit once they reach that level of alcoholism.
It's not meant as a joke. He's sorry for the hermit cop.
Beside your gun and your badge, you said something about your hope or heart or something. To be honest, the details are a little hazy. In retrospect, I guess you lost your motor carriage too? That's a big one. You were pretty vague about it, but you kept saying you got fucked real hard, and that we've all been fucked too.
No one's fucked me. I do the fucking around here.
Abigail!
It seemed pretty painful, to be honest with you. If I had to guess, I'd say you're still working through some shit. It's a hard thing for a man to confront his past. That's why I avoid mine at all costs. You too, Tequila Sunset.
Good to see you, friend. Do I have deals set up for you, buddy boy? So what do you want? I got smokes. They're cheap. Very cheap. I got Pilsner. Great deal. You won't get a better deal on that piss. Spirits I can let go for 300 real. I also have speed. And by speed, I mean amphetamine. See, friend, it's real valuable. Worth every real, if you catch my drift. Got it from a bit of a business venture. You know, it's funny, actually. What?
Keep him talking.
This guy.
Conversation might bring a discount, no?
So what do you want then?
His tone is aggressive. You're getting on his bad side now.
Aye, by amphetamine I mean speed. Sure did, buddy boy. That's why I said amphetamine. I mean speed. I mean amphetamine. I got both. Aye, that's what I said. Good, my man. Now what can I offer you? In the civilized world, it's a custom to tip the shopkeep, friend. But come back anyway.
Don't call her. Yeah! Don't call Abigail.
Right. You might have found one person who doesn't know you are the law, given how drunk he is.
Abigail. Oh, Abigail. Abigail. Don't you fucking call Abigail.
Abigail is his wife or girlfriend. Chances are she's gone. Calling her wouldn't make it any better or worse. You're not going to get anything out of this guy. He's too drunk. The man hiccups, then mumbles something unintelligible.
I'm cold, Abigail.
Hi, officer. Anything I can help you with?
You've graduated to Lawbringer now?
Men with authority have their quirks. Comes with never being second-guessed about anything. So what brings you here, Lawbringer? The name is Lillian. People call me Netpicker. I think I have time for questions. What are the other ones?
Ask her about the cool sword. Helps to break the ice.
Unfortunately, the factory sold this one with a 3-year warranty instead of story. It's to intimidate folks, mostly. It's a regular mass-produced sword, like a shovel or an axe. Nothing fancy, just for intimidation. From time to time, people need a lesson in respect. That's just the way it is. Back in the day, I caught the eyes of many men. And believe me, men need a lesson in manners from time to time. Sure. Animosity. But boys will be boys, and God knows we don't have many around. So far, the sword has been enough to keep them in line. What makes you think we haven't? The truth is that almost everyone in this life is scared and tired and stupid and too dull for that. That goes for men too. But they put on an act for us. Pretend like everything's good and living in shit doesn't bother them. Like anyone falls for that. No one wants to talk about how frightened they are. But only frightened people are really dangerous. And plenty of them are dangerous. Some went to patch their wounds, their lesson learned. Others were more thick-headed. And one of them, I ended up marrying. Guess I enjoyed the way he bled.
If it is, then why the melancholy?
Gone. To the waves. The sea took him. It was a long time ago. He didn't respect the sea. Went out there, drunk like a skunk, and sure enough, one day the boat was found floating empty. The bloated corpse turned up 2 weeks later. Now, before you tell me how sorry you are for my loss, know that it was 4 years ago, and I've moved on. There's only so much mourning you can do for a drunk with sinewy muscles. Us working folk don't have the luxury to be bedsick with melancholy. I buried him, mourned for an appropriate amount of time, and went on. Life didn't really change that much for me and the kids.
This is neither a touchy nor a very interesting topic for her.
Let's see. Who are you looking for? I don't think I know what these are. Care to elaborate? Aha! Like snowmen. Two odd guys have been wandering around here, nose in sand, talking nonsense about snowmen and the like. Right. Not only snowmen, also green men, monkey men burning rhinos. You get the picture.
Oh, you're getting it. And it is gorgeous.
Don't really know. Further down the peninsula, I guess. I mean, that's where they were heading. Who else are you looking for besides snowmen? Well, how can I assist you then, officer? Like I said, fish mostly. Sail the waves, take care of the kids, pick nets. Right now I'm tarring a little skiff. I sell the fish to people in the Delta to serve at their fancy restaurants. Authentic insular Indian cuisine. Sometimes I also walk to the beach to see what the sea has given up. The sea is full of surprises.
Keep it professional, man. Don't make it sound like you're hitting on her. This is what is called a conversation. You don't have to be guarded right now.
Wood, pieces of glass. Every once in a while we see dead bodies. Human, animal, fish, other odd sea creatures. A mine washed ashore once. Bottles, drugs also. Lost cargo in general. Most of the time it's just wood and glass.
All right. Major choice moment. You only get to ask one thing. It would be weird to say them all. Choose wisely.
Well, you're barking under the wrong tree then, officer. I have no interest in floaters. Seen enough of them in my life already. Very unattractive bunch.
Yeah, maybe stay clear of the things reminding her of the floater she used to be married to. Just saying. The Greatest Innocence by João Paulo Salomão Lopes de Fuego. The book is large and heavy. Browsing through the various chapters, you try your best to understand the ceaseless overflow, the sprawl of names, dates, places, events historical. Most of it ends up as a twisted mass of facts inside your brain. Your educational survey is done. Did you catch any of that? No. Oh well, it's pop quiz time. Let's see what you've learned. This might take a few minutes. You ready? That's the spirit. Here we go. Question 1. Who was the first innocence? Oh yeah, this is what I was made for. Incorrect. Dolores Day was the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. She codified parliamentary democracy and created modern institutions. Among these, the moral intern, she was powerful and beautiful on all her icons. Her colors are silver, white, and apricot. And when you think her name, Dolores, stomach acid rises to the back of your throat, and it hurts. You see a flash silver, a wreath, an airport bag, and blonde hair. You don't know why. Another choice, perhaps? Steer clear of this one. There's something terrible about this one. A strange sensation of loss. When she left the earth, the dust, and the ice, and the humans. That is unimportant to the quiz. Stop thinking about this. Yes, the quiz is impersonal. No need to rouse sensations in yourself at the mention of Dolores Day. Who was the first innocence? It wasn't Dolores Day. A pop quiz is a short examination designed to test your knowledge without any prior warning or announcement. Such exams allow the teacher to assess how thoroughly the students have retained the material at hand. Voila! Now blast that first innocence. Incorrect. Sola was anointed during the previous century and even lived to see the current one. She was an urban planner who spoke her mind and largely left history to its own devices, encouraging people to excel on their own rather than prescribing to a deified model of history. She is often called an anti-innocence. Sola resigned after an assassination attempt by a Yugo nationalist who blamed her for not taking the side of the left during the turn-of-the-century revolutions. Innocences don't usually resign. Care to try again? Correct. Nothing much is known about him. It's not even clear that he was a he, but Franco Negro presumed as such and called him Pius. He's depicted as a young man with molten gold pouring out of his mouth. All he spoke was gold. It's said he invented God and equality of men before God. He also introduced the gold standard as a way for measuring people's love for Aurum. As the first innocence, he declared that there should be more of those like him. It is presumed his disciples were the beginning of the Holy Party, the founding party. Question 2. Who was the strongest innocence? Easy. Everybody knows the answer to this. You, me, anybody. An innocence is the highest category of historical personage in the world, a literal personification of history. Traditionally, an innocence, when anointed, assumes supreme rule over the Occident or the known world in general, at least the parts that matter. I can do better. Okay, so commonly an innocence does not enforce his or her power through military power. This is seen as unnecessary. The innocence wins because an innocence can't help but win, for their deeds are inevitabilities. Did this help? Great. Incorrect. Vespa Messina is not a person, but a defunct state on the southeastern coast of the Occident. It used to take up most of the peninsula before separating into the republics of Vespa and Messina. Care to try again? Incorrect again. While she originated many modern institutions, launched several successful expeditions, and was even critical of the Innocentic system itself, and somehow keeps popping up in your mind, she is not often considered the strongest. Even though the words most associated with her rule are l'amour, la compassion, la autodiscipline, love, compassion, self-control, which could be seen as facets of strength. Would you like to try again? Correct. Named the innocence of militarism, he codified hereditary rule, but at the same time ended serfdom and established the inter-isolari real as the global reserve currency. He also established the concept of the nation. Franco Negro attempted to solve the rising tensions between the aristocracy and bourgeoisie by building a unified society in which every man has a place and a mission, but at the same time may rise to nobility provided on the strength of his virtue. Question 3. Who was the false innocence? Got it under control. No problem. Solid on this one. It's widespread historical information. Yes, there exists a group called the Founding Party, known as the Holy Party, during the time of the Pericarnacian. This, the world's oldest international organization, spends its time in search of either the re-emergence of the innocents or new members. There seems to be a mix-up with the sources. It's not my fault. Incorrect. Stepan the Despicable, regent of Kedra, was a ruler who conquered the known world during the Kedriatic conquest, instead of the despotic Eremno Pasternak. Would you try again? Incorrect. Kedra is a large nation in the mid-northern area of the Mawindi Isola, north of the Occident, between the Ilmarin mountain range and the Pacentic Mare Interregnum. Care to try again? Correct. There have been a number of counter or false innocences, some assumed to have innocentic qualities, some who just thought so themselves. Occasionally, they have the support of a faction inside the ecclesiastic organization, and accusations of foul play have arisen. The most famous and important of these was Eremno Pasternak. He was into torture, despotism, hymns, cannons, and world conquest, but got defeated and humiliated by Stepan the Despicable of Kedra. Final stretch. You've come so far and learned so much. This is the most important one. Question 4. Who was the greatest innocence? The most important of them all. The most precious to humankind. I've got it, honest. Of course, this is my thing, the reason I exist in this world. The correct answer is Franco Negro. 0 doubts. Incorrect. While Franco Negro built concrete churches and cathedrals, and while many people, especially the Mesque, consider him a father figure, due to his militarism and nationalism, João Paulo Salomão Lopes de Fuego argues differently. Another choice, perhaps? Oh yes, militarism and nationalism. My bad. Yes, obviously. Incorrect. He was a violent bastard, out to torture, maim, and kill whoever stood in his way. He was also a false innocence, disqualifying him from being the greatest and most important, and most precious to humankind. Would you like to try again? Correct. The Mesque might see Franco Negro as the father of nations, but as of this century, there's been a great shift in attitude. Dolores Day has become widely regarded as the greatest innocence, a most radical change to the whole fabric of the world. Everything from inter-isolary travel to the connected world to 3 consecutive scientific revolutions can be traced back to her. Every decade that passes, she seems less human somehow, and more beautiful. Congratulations on finishing the test. The results and your subsequent grade have been calculated. You get an F for failure. Ha ha ha. You would have done better if you just left Dolores Day for the end. Dial the Dolores Day down a bit.
What's going on with you? Okay.
You are shouting at an inanimate object, like a real weirdo. No wonder you seem to have trouble with the right answers.